Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Global Happiness today. Professor Charles Soludo, the governor of Anambra State, has been battling insecurity in Anambra State. Of course, so many things has happened that has brought him into limelight. The issue of the northern woman that was brought down, even with her pregnancy, and so many issues. Of course, they've asked him severally who are behind this issue. Some persons said they're actually outsiders marauding as UGM. Well, he said quite a whole number of them are actually from Southeast. But that is not just where we are headed. It's the fact that the UGM have said to dare him, as in put their hand in his eyes. There will definitely have to be a reaction to that. Before we go to the news proper, I would like you to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button. Beside it, you see a bell notification icon. Please go ahead, click on it to get notified as soon as we update our channel on YouTube. Let's go straight into the news. For nearly 1 year, the so-called UGM have turned Anambra State, the once acclaimed safest state in Nigeria, into a harvest of death. From what has been happening since the emergence of Professor Chukwuma Soludo as the governor of the state, it might be argued that some people do not want the governor to succeed or the state to progress, as hardly a day passes without the UGM causing havoc in one part of the state. When the problem of UGM began, it was happening sporadically, but with time it became a daily practice. As such that is getting to a situation where the UGM may soon be telling Anambra people that there is nothing anyone can do to stop them. Take the issue of the spread of their activities. For instance, at the beginning they were operating only at the border town of Lilu in Ihiala local government area, only to extend their tentacles to other neighboring towns. Today, towns like Ozomogu, Mbosi, Ukpo, Azia, Ihiala, Okija, Nnewi, Agulezuchukwu, Isofia, Mgboloko, Ekwolobia, Umuchu, Umunze, Uga, and in fact, almost all the communities in Anambra South Senatorial Zone have become dreaded places. In most of these communities, youth have made their people to live in fear. In Okija, for instance, some youth in collaboration with UGM from outside the area recently stormed the palace of the traditional ruler of the town and removed over 20 motorcycles purchased for distribution to vigilante operatives. After destroying personal property of the royal father, who was away at the time, they also invaded the country home of the industrialist in the town and after killing his dog, looted the house. The source said, "Do you know that the newly recruited UGM are assigned to look out for their people who come into the community? They throw such people to their destinations and inform their senior colleagues who then invade the area to abduct the returnees and take them to the forest for negotiations." Recently, one of such trainee UGM led his senior colleague to a burial ceremony at a village in Okeja, where they abducted one of the relatives or relations of the deceased. After a few hours, they contacted the victim's relations or the victim's relations a relative and demanded for 10 million naira. Eventually, 6 million naira was contributed and a go-between was given the money and the man was released. At Umboloku in Orumba South local government area, it was gathered that some of the UGM came into the area and demanded that all the pump action purchased for use by vigilante operatives in the area be given to them. The guns were confiscated by the UGM as had been done in many other communities. A president general in one of those communities said, "With the development, most communities can no longer defend their areas." In what looked like a well-designed modus operandi, the UGM, mostly from outside the state, started recruiting youth of various communities into their gang. It was these recruited youth that helped in establishing kidnappers' dens in forests in many communities where victims are taken to and ransom demanded and paid. Hey! The most worrisome aspect is that the recruited youth have become threats to their people as they transform from apprentice to actual UGM. They do all manner and even use the social media to advertise themselves. Two killings too many in the state in recent week were those of the House of Assembly representing Governor Chukwuma Soludo's constituency, that's Okechukwu Okoye, who was brought down, and a pregnant woman, Harira Jobrel, and her 4 children. Although Governor Soludo has been battling to find a solution to the insecurity situation in the state since he assumed office, the latest killings apparently forced him to impose 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew in the entire 7 local government areas of Anambra State and Ogbaru in Anambra North. In fact, the governor was so worried about the death of Harira and her children that he dispatched his Commissioner for Information, Mr. Paul Umosu, and that of Women and Social Welfare, Mrs. Ifi Obinabo, to go and commiserate with her husband, Malam Jubril Ahmed. Harira Jubril was just 32 years, while the 4 children were Fatima, 9, Khadija, 7, Hadiza, 5, and Zatuna, 2. Ahmed's emotion leading speech during the visit of Soludo's delegation was touching. His words, "I am now left with nobody. They have wiped out my entire family. My late wife was 9 months pregnant, and the family were expecting a new baby within the week before they were killed. They were coming back home after she visited her sister, who was living in the neighborhood town. She and her 4 children were all wearing hijabs. That may be why the UGM targeted them." Jibril, who works as a security guard in the state, however, commended the governor for the visit of his aides. The leader of the military ally in South is Malam Gidado Sadiq, who was also in the entourage, promised to work with the state government to bring about peace and security in the state. The visit by the governor's team was quite commendable, and I'm happy that he has promised that those who have a hand in the killing of the woman and her children will be fished out and made to face the law, Sadiq said. Soludo, while announcing the introduction of curfew in the 8 local government areas, recalled how he expressed conviction that sustainable peace and security could only be achieved if there is cooperation and solidarity of the people during his inauguration. Wondering why all these were still happening, the governor said, "We consulted and collaborated with Southeast Joint Body of Bishops and traditional rulers, issuing joint statements with the joint body of bishops organizing prayer sessions in the entire Southeast on April 4th, 2022, with the goal of ending the sit at home and ensuring an enduring peace and security in the Southeast. We organized Anambra Peace and Security Dialogue with the leadership of the Christian denominations, town hall meetings, traditional rulers, youth organizations, women, market and transport union, as well as political leaders and non-indigenous, with a communique called calling for an end to the sit at home and peace and security in the Southeast as at April 2nd, 2022. We offered the olive branch to all the armed youth in the forest to come out and surrender their weapons, and with the commitment that our government will help to retrain and empower them to contribute positively to our development. Our government has, in our proposed reverse budget, provided handsomely for youth empowerment." The official leadership of IPOB also repeatedly issued statements dissociating itself from the senseless and destruction sit at home or destructive sit at home on Mondays and so on, as well as the kidnappings and criminal actions of gangs in the state and Southeast. We set up the Truth and Justice Peace Committee with the goal of getting to the remote and immediate causes of the agitation and criminality, with a view to profiling systematic and lasting solutions. We have severally again met with town union leaders and traditional rulers, landlords and so on, all in the mobilization of the people for a lasting peace and security. True to our commitment to engage with all state and non-state actors relevant to the search for the lasting peace and security, we visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and he reiterated that he never authorized senseless sit at home and absolved himself and his organization IPOB from the crass criminality, especially the barbaric enforcement of the sit at home and the kidnapping and stealing of blood. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu expressed his willingness to personally address the press to charge his followers to keep the peace. Subsequently, his lawyer issued an official statement confirming this position, and his associate also addressed the media in the same vein. We have also had town hall meetings within the Anambra and Lagos and Abuja, and our people are united in the condemnation of the criminality going on in the state and environs, and demonstrated their commitment to join hands with us in solving it. Despite all this, the criminal gangs are unrelenting in their desperation to maintain their very lucrative criminal enterprise and expand their other agenda of denomination or domination rather. Routinely they kidnap for ransom, murder their victims as well as burn houses and properties. They relish in doing all sorts, including recently a poor woman frying akara in front of our house on a Monday. Over the past 1 week, in Anambra, indeed, the nation have been treated to the gory stories of what is happening in Southeast. Subsequent of what happened to Honorable Kechuku Okoye and his aide Cyril Chiegbuka, both from my community, Isofia, as well as what happened to Mrs. Harirat Jubril from Adamawa State and her 4 children. Anambra people have been in shock. This is not who we are. Our deepest condolences are with the families of the various victims. We are working round the clock with the security agencies, and the perpetrators must be brought to book. The truth is that this is tiny minority, certainly far less than 0.1% of us, in who is bent upon challenging the foundation of the things that make us who we are. No part of Anambra State, house, bush, or even forest shall be used as camps for these criminals. Anyone with a gun in a camp is considered a criminal in Anambra State, and the government and the people will work with security agencies to flush them out. The state government shall pursue with its powers under the Land Use Act, revoke and acquire any land found to be harboring these criminals for further public purpose. Henceforth, or for public purpose, henceforth, every community is required to provide information on any part of their land occupied by these criminals as camps. If the community fails to do so, the government will take over such land. All communities are hereby charged to take over their communities completely, and through the leadership of their town union and traditional rulers, give weekly security report submitted every Friday to the state government on the state of security in their communities. The cooperation of the youth in that regard is now imperative. I charge the vigilantes of each community to rise to the occasion and contend with these criminals in your locality, whether they are in your bush or your houses or in your community. The state government expects the report of any progress made in this regard and shall support and reward you accordingly. Any buildings found to be harboring these criminals who have led siege on our state will, as provided by the Criminal Code Amendment Number 3, Law 2013, be forfeited to the state government. To that extent, all landlords are hereby directed to proceed on Operation Know Your Tenant by keeping appropriate records of their tenants and report anyone suspected of being involved in criminal activities. Each community leadership must keep full register of all tenants in their communities, their occupation, and so on, and keep an eye on their activities. The state government shall, as an emergency measure, disband the leadership of any community which fails to report criminal activities in their communities and immediately respond to the request contained in the address. Oh my God, I guess that's going to wrap it up.